Hey, it's Erin. Long time no see, but in the off chance of TikTok being banned in the UK, I figured that I should probably put some effort into my YouTube. So I am going to be trying to post every day. That's never going to happen, but it's the goal nonetheless. A mixture of study tips, student life, etc. But this time I am bringing you some of my ins and outs for 2025 when it comes to studying and being a student. I'm also fully aware that this lighting makes me look as though I have not slept in weeks. But we move. My first studying in is studying alone, because I think a lot of people don't like to study alone. They feel sort of awkward going somewhere and sitting on their own and feel like they always need to be in some sort of a study group or studying with friends, amongst friends. And that can be really useful, unless you're like me and you will just yap to your friends and you will not study, or you'll kid yourself into thinking that you're studying. Sometimes if you have an explicit study group arranged, that can be immensely useful. But a lot of the time you don't, and you'll just sit there and you'll talk, and then you'll think that you've done 5 hours of good revision, but you've done half an hour tops. However, saying that, one of my outs is cancelling plans to study, because I think you need a bit of balance. You need to be happy with studying alone, but you shouldn't be doing that at the expense of going out and making use of the fact that, you're a student, you've got the world at your feet, and you shouldn't feel that you have to spend the entire time in the library, because as much as you might be doing that in the lead up to exams, fair enough, lock in, do whatever you need to do, but equally doing that all year round is just going to lead to burnout. On that, I do think a lot of study talkers do promote that sort of unhealthy study, and I know I put a lot of emphasis on it, but I've never pretended that I'm not going to figure out what my priorities are. Study number 2 is a particular study technique that I have fallen in love with over the past year, and that is the Feynman technique. Now, there are so many variations on the Feynman technique that you can do to really focus in on what it is that you're trying to learn and how you're trying to learn. The basic premise is trying to explain something uber simply. That can be done in so many ways. The way that I have found immensely useful recently is essentially pretending you're a teacher teaching a bunch of really, really annoying kids who are just like, why? You say a point, why? And you've got to build these chains of reasoning as you would in an essay. So it's basically revising for an essay-based subject without having to write essays 24/7. But the study technique that is out for 2025 is the Pomodoro technique. I've never liked the Pomodoro technique, and I think there are so many flaws with it. Yes, the premise of taking breaks is amazing. I'm not saying don't take breaks, but you don't need to do the Pomodoro technique in order to take breaks, because the way that it measures the amount of work you've done by time rather than the amount of content you've got through can really misplace your priorities, and it can make you feel as though you're doing a lot of work, but you're not. You're just spending a lot of time doing work, and it might be that you're revising really ineffectively, but because you're doing the Pomodoro technique, you feel like you're doing a lot, if that makes sense, and we don't want to be tricking ourselves. Now, a broader in for this year is saying yes, just trying out new things. I think there are a lot of things in the past that I've not done because I felt like, no, I don't want to do, I felt uncomfortable saying yes to do it, which you never should. And I think this year is the year that I'm actually going to say yes to more opportunities, do more things. It can lead you into some interesting situations. I was on the radio. It's just a bit of fun. And a really important out to go with that is not trying things because you're scared. So for example, I've been trying to learn Russian forever. My mother is Russian. I want to learn Russian, and yet I'm really scared to do it because I am scared that my pronunciation is going to be abysmal, that no one is going to understand me, and so I don't even try. And that is not the mindset to have for anything, let alone for language learning. So it's saying yes, and combined with that, it's not being scared to try. Then my final in is kind of two combined together, and that is making sure that you actually make use of having water and study snacks, because I think that keeps you going for a lot longer. It means you don't have to take breaks so frequently, and the breaks that you do take are going to be a lot more impactful because they're not every 10 seconds. You're actually going to be earning those breaks, and I find that so beneficial. And coupled with that, trying out new study spaces, because I found towards the end of last term I was retreating into my room a lot. I was like, oh, I need to study, let me just sit at my desk in my room, which is nice, it's a lovely room, this is a lovely desk. But there are so many beautiful libraries in Cambridge, there are so many beautiful cafes, there are plenty more places for me to be revising. And my final out is procrastination. We are not procrastinating this year. We are not sitting and scrolling for hours before trying to get some work done. That is not going to happen. I think I'm really going to try and stick by the 2-minute rule, which is essentially if you have a task and it takes less than 2 minutes, just get it done instantaneously as soon as you think of it, unless you're in an impossible situation, obviously, but pretty much whenever you can think, because I'm awful at putting off responding to emails. I'm awful at filling out forms, sending over whatever it is. do it instantaneously, and I think that's going to really help. Those are my ins and outs for 2025. I should probably add that my biggest in is to try and actually post on here a little bit more frequently. So I'll hopefully see you tomorrow.